when I started competitively, and I did play in a team with him at one point, and since then he went on from being meh to one of the most improved players that the UK probably saw in Source. Actually, he exploded onto the scene and got himself into some good positions, to name a few. And, without even touching on Poles, PT, again, they've got bags of experience between them. And we've got some other exciting prospects in Mighty Max, a fairly young player that he can play in just that slightly different way that you're not expecting. Might throw the odd curveball into the mix, might push you when you're not thinking about it and that kind of thing, but can drop frags in bunches. So yeah, really exciting stuff from both of these teams, and I'm looking forward to it. And on Train, to be honest, it's another one of those, a bit like Cobble, that can play in so many different ways that we just don't know what kind of game we're going to get until this thing kicks off.
Well, I mean, we got to be hoping, and we are going to be seeing the game kick off now, straight into the pistol round. Obviously had the knife. Second round, it will be FM Sign on the CT side, Orgless on the T side. And I'm interested to see what happens here. Obviously, Train, as pointed out, not one of the maps you see all too often in the UK scene. Cash and Cobble going to be those two, so definitely a chance to see some interesting CS, and we're going to be seeing interesting stuff right from the start. A straight push out to the B side, and very, very strong indeed. It was looking like it might get countered there as 3 CTs were ready and waiting. Instead, it's going to have to be a little bit of a retake scenario, even without the bomb going down. HudsG in from behind manages to find himself a couple. Neilzinho also going to be there with his P2K doing damage. And so, from a dominant push early on, it's going to be a 1 versus 2 and just release left to try and figure out what he can do in this position.
Yeah, and to make it worse, they didn't get a bomb plant in all that skirmish, so they've not even got the $800 in their bank just yet anyway. And, HudsG dropped himself off towards A, just make sure they got the cover, so smart play from these two. Been around so long that they're just know to be sensible, no YOLO pushes in trying to chase this guy down. They're not frag hunting, but it has actually allowed release time to get that plant down. So he's got the money in the bank, if nothing else. Now, can he pick up a frag? Well, possibly. He knows. You can hear the footsteps from HudsG coming in from above. Release has got one. Can he get this second? He's caught on the reload, but HudsG can't get the angle on him until now. And he is also going to pick up the defuse if he hasn't just seen himself skipping straight past the bomb. Does clue into it in the end, and he is going to get that defuse on the board. But wow, that was a haphazard first round from both teams, and could be a sign of things to come for the rest of this map.
Yeah, that was a little bit crazy there. The initial push looking great, but as you said, the experience just kicking in from HudsG and Neilzinho there as the last players alive, falling off, allowing that bomb plant to go down, so giving Orgless maybe a slight chance earlier on in the game than they might have been looking at otherwise. But obviously in the end it all comes down to securing the rounds, and they managed to do it. So extremely nice from them there, and looking like it might be another round on the board for FM in this one, as they are just going to be up against a full buy of P250s and nothing else at all at the moment. Orgless looking to see if they're going to be heading out onto the A site or not, setting themselves up nicely for it, but again, nothing too committed at this point. Sitting back, taking it slow until they finally decide to push, and they're just going to be mowed down at the moment. Som comes in with 3, does take a little bit of damage, but it's not going to mean all that much, as the rest of his team are there to chip in as well. Nice quick round, nice easy round. Unfortunately for Orgless, unable to do anything at all with the limited buy they had, but it was all for a reason. There was a greater cause at hand, and they are going to be coming into this one strong. 4 AKs and a Galil on Mighty Max, allowing for a little bit more utility for their team. Might just be what they need. As you can see, 5 smokes potentially going to be lending themselves to a strong execute wherever we do see them choose to go.
I think with the setup that they've got there, keeping the 5 smokes, there might be some kind of set play that they're looking to work, especially now they've got that early pick. They might be thinking, okay, let's do something towards the A now. Maybe expecting that a rotate is going to come from one of these directions, but it's actually gone the opposite direction, because HudsG has rotated into A to bolster that. Maybe he's preemptively seeing this one coming, thinking that they're now going to be moving back towards A, having not committed to the B, which is kind of interesting in itself, as we've got a minute and 10 seconds left to go, just under that on the clock. So plenty of time for Orgless to put their play together here if they want to go for it. Whilst they're on the force, I see just spamming through and he has taken Release down to 59 points of health, and spamming through that spot up into the toilets, which one of those things that you may not know about. Take note of that one, guys. It's a useful little position to be spamming through, especially if you're knowing that someone might be up there in the halls just waiting for a play. As Release drops down, he takes down Stanley, so now the play does come out into the A, and that's going to help. They've got a 3 versus 5 advantage. Release is going to watch them behind, see if a push comes in from there, but the rotates are all coming in through the connector, possibly, if they decide to go with it, and I think they are just going to save their M4 and their 2 Famases and whatever utility they've got, which is pretty much 1 kit, a couple of lots of armor and a helmet, a couple of flashes, couple of nades, and yeah, save gaming it's going to be. You're going to live to fight another day, and HutchG might have a play. He's got Rattlesnake and Release, and look at these two hunting in pairs. Rattlesnake's already got Neilzinho. Can they keep pushing through for the next one? Well, that flash has blinded Rattlesnake, but he still comes away with the frag. HutchG completely blind in the exchange as well, and maybe won't have heard those footsteps. Som, last man standing, he gets caught in a spray down, and it's PT that grabs the round, so I was not expecting that, but you know, a couple of times there where Orgless looked like the more warmed up of the two teams, if anything else, and we've got a tense 2-1 after the first buy versus buy.
Yeah, I mean, that round actually pretty beautiful from Orgless, obviously securing that initial pick very early on and then just slowing things right down, making FM sweat and force them into positions they might not want to be in. Then, on top of all of that, Smoke Execute onto A just secures them the bomb plant early on, gives them the control of the site, and 5 versus 3, FM didn't really have a chance. Those 3 players going down at the end as well, going to mean that this round, they're not looking in with too much of a chance either. Pistols once more on the board. And a bad situation to start things off. Orgless looking like they might be taking themselves to 2-2 here and starting this half off strong. Obviously, it remains to be seen. The pistols can be deadly, and it all comes down to how they decide to push. But right now, they are doing it perfectly. They're waiting a fair amount, running that clock down and just hoping that FM get a little bit aggressive. Again, I think when you're talking about experienced players, they're going to be knowing that that aggression, while sometimes useful, not going to be doing them any favors if they're not seeing anything in return. So it is going to be Orgless forced to go for the push initially. Rattlesnake out quickly, finds himself one. Neilzinho going to be in with a chance to respond, but Release finding another in the meantime, going to mean that as with 2 frags on the board, they are going to be in an even situation. More frags, though, coming in by the second. The pistol's doing a huge amount of damage until it's just PT left. 11 points of health in a 1 versus 3 situation. And unfortunately, in circumstances like that, 1 frag is... well, 1 frag's a good amount. It's about all you can hope for. So, very unfortunate for Orgless there. Around it looked like they were set to win. Goes the way of FM, and we see them find themselves that 3rd. Find themselves guns, and put themselves in a position to continue on strong. If they manage to take this round, looking like we're going to be seeing 5 or 6 to 1 early on.
Go then, so next round on the board, number 5, first map. Right, so he's been kept quiet so far over towards the side area. They've not tried to challenge him too much just yet. Maybe we'll start to see a bit more action going in that kind of area as the map pushes on. But it seems like Orgless are fairly keen to work towards their A setup for the time being. Keeping plenty of utility, and now we see a few set flashes making their way out into the main. So here we go again. I think they might be up against it, and Fry now looking away from the side area, but they're not trying to make a push from there as Mighty Max comes out, taking down Fry. And maybe that was just something to think about really, as HutchG takes down PT, so he's going to try and work as best he can from around about the side. They've got one up top as well. That is Som up there, he's caught by Rattlesnake. So maybe he'd given the game away actually, and they'd heard some shots from up there or something like that. He was taken down pretty quickly. Rattlesnake and Release team up to take down HutchG, leaving it in a 3 versus 2. Orgless go try and trade back. They go for the plant, so they are going to get that. That's $800 in their account, which is nice. But Neilzinho and Stanley very quickly pick up 2 frags. Even Rattlesnake round about the bomb train. Neilzinho's there, so these guys, countless years of experience between them, but it's Neilzinho who comes out on top, bringing it back in favour of FM. That $800 is going to be a welcome addition to the coffers for Orgless, but they are going to be back onto an eco or sort of forced pistols.
Yeah, I mean, pistols definitely looking like an option here, as they do have a little bit of money. So going to be interesting to see what comes out, and it does look like it is just going to be that no armor brought up just yet, and none going to be coming into it at all. Just a couple of flashes to help them out, and a tough round ahead of them. Obviously still possible. I never like counting the pistols out, but never going to be easy. Rattlesnake though, initial aggression on point, manages to dodge past the Molotov and put himself maybe somewhere that FM aren't going to be expecting at all. So if he can capitalize on that, find himself an early pick, it could be just what they're looking for. Initially, though, nothing too much happening. Orgless taking it slow, making sure they feel out everything they want to be doing. And just hoping that they see some sort of mistakes coming through. It is going to be Rattlesnake, though, making sure that he uses that aggression to his full advantage and catches a couple of players out by surprise. He can't hit the shots. Finally manages to find one, but the position is known. And anything more, not going to be easy. I think just hoping that he can draw some sort of attention away from that B site by these CTs. Obviously, they feel like there should be some sort of, I don't know, some sort of reason to commit if they have a player over there. Unfortunately, that isn't the case, and it is just going to be Orgless out onto the B site. Bomb down, 4 players left alive, and a retake situation has to ensue. It means FM are going to have to push in close, take these pistols at the range they are the most effective, and potentially lose a couple of players in the process. Mighty Max already finding one, but no more going to be coming his way as it is just Pulse left. 1 for him, 2 for him, and he puts it in a 1v1. Just Pulse versus Huds G now. Seeing what he can do with that P250, and unfortunately, he's not going to be able to find the third. Still, a ridiculously close round for what Orgless went into it with, and a hugely economically damaging one for FM.
So very costly, but yeah, they're still fine. Neilzinho go get his AWP up. Still got 2.5k in the bank. So Orgless try to do what they can. Do some economic damage, but if you have a look at things, they, if anything, are the team that are up against it still, which is an interesting little dynamic as they want to try and rack up as many rounds as they can on this map. You know, Train plays a little differently to how it used to. You know, the T side can get into the action a little more potentially, but you know, we've seen this go both ways in recent times as far as UKCSGO. So it's going to be interesting as to how things start to develop. Probably going to take another 4 or 5 rounds before we really start to get a pattern of how things are going to pan out as Som gets the frag on PT. So straight away that's an advantage. They're looking to try and work something out of Pop Dog, but you know, so much utility going in the direction of FM. It's kind of like they've got this sixth sense. They know that there might be some action coming from there since it's all going in the direction of A so far. Maybe this is a chance for a B play to come in from Orgless. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to go for a fast all-out B of some sort, maybe next time out. They're still, after forcing for this one, haven't got a whole lot of cash in the bank, so maybe something that they can think about trying to challenge on.
I mean, at the moment, I think just trying to break the cycle of economy from FM, find themselves an opening, and it might just be presenting itself. You can see Som flirting with the idea of getting a little bit aggressive there, decides to fall off in the end, but still going to be caught by release fairly quickly. Huds G going to be trying to come back into that, helped out by Frey. And the frags, unfortunately for Orgless, just raining in for the FM side at the moment until it's just Mighty Max left. Seeing what he can do versus 4. He picks up the first. He's got 3 more to find, and they know where he's flying from. Spotted out by Frey as well. Or Fry, rather. So just an unwinnable situation at the moment. 8 seconds left on the clock. He does have the bomb, but the 3 frags not going to be coming his way. Instead, just dropping quickly, losing his life, and giving FM another round. And as you pointed out, their economy not in a great position. That was sort of a round that they needed to win. It could have pushed either team's economy down to, well, down to the limit. Instead, I think we're just going to be seeing Orgless wait until they get that max round loss bonus and start working off of it. Again, we're going to be seeing a buy come in from them now. And they're 1 round off, so maybe a chance to see them get something a little bit more secure up in the next. And the rounds preceding that.
Yeah, potentially. And so what, if you want a bit of an example of how to play Train on CT side, just keep your eye on Huds G. He's leading the charge 9-4, so not completely running away with it. His team have needed to chip in, but he's just playing with this swagger and this confidence, just drifting around in the sort of main area up in A, just flicking around the angles, pretty much sitting out in the open, but just dealing with these players as they come in. And you know, he's doing damage here, he's moving his position, changing his angle, and you know, that's exactly what you need. You see players that get in that role, that kind of free role, and they don't really know what they are trying to do, and you know, they either just end up sitting in too much or try and get pushing. But yeah, this is looking much, much better from Orgless, and has gone straight out into main, made some picks, and you know, Stanley coming up top with Release pretty much watching straight away. In fact, Stanley, it looks like he's going for a save, possibly. Gonna get Release as he hops up onto the ladder, so that's going to be his all, I think. I'm going to try and challenge anyone else, just let him take control of this and try and push for the reset if they can and bring this thing home. Looking for FM, they have not got the dollar to be able to do that, so maybe, you know, force up SMGs, try and work something a little fast, just catch them off guard, something like that maybe. Maybe get a Swag 7 up close, try and do some damage with that cheaply. But got some things to think about.
I mean, it's a lot to think about. It's going to be a tough round. Whatever happens, Stanley may be able to drop something here, as he does have that AK plus $5,000. So if they did want to go for something in this round, it would be more than possible. At the moment, though, looking like it might just be pistols on the rest of them, as he is throwing out a lot of P250s. So choosing to go for the slightly safer option of just saving this one out, I think. And you can see why. They've got the rounds on the board. They've got a little bit of a lead going. And if they can just work it till they have a full economy and start back into it strong on the buys, then there's still definitely chance for them to work. And actually, Stanley given chance to work as well in this round, as there is a little bit of what I think is a whiffed or maybe even a one-way smoke there for him to just watch through up into B halls. Unfortunately, not going to be panning out for him. Loses a lot of health early on, and as the only player with armor and the player with the AK, that's not what you're looking for whatsoever. So he is going to be dropping it off. But again, a lot to be lost if he dies early in this one, and we are just going to be seeing Orgless come in, try and take out who they can, see what frags they can find. Rattlesnake starts it off, but going to be losing his life quickly, and more players following. The flashes are good, the frags are coming in, and somehow FM making this work. They've got the pistols, they're doing the damage, and it's Release and PT left as the last two. They're going to be seeing if they can make this work for their team. And at the moment, it's not looking bad at all. 2 frags found quickly, puts in a 2 versus 2 situation. And with what they have in terms of weaponry, you'd expect it to go their way. But Fry, again, uses that AK, finds PT, and leaves Release as the last man. Scrambling for that bomb, seeing what he can do, and potentially taking it over towards the B site. It's just how he's going to be getting there. Nilzinho is up in the correct position. He has that pistol at close range, and he can use it extremely effectively. I think at this point it's more whether he expects it or not. Release going to be coming around the corner, manages to pick up one. And I'm not sure if they're going to realize, or if Fry rather is going to realize where he's going with the bomb. I don't think he is, so it's going to be a free plant on the A site and a retake situation for the man with no armor and no utility to work with.
Plants it close, actually, so if Fry had got a bit of an inkling and gotten his bite, then he could have maybe picked up Release, but you know, fair play to FM. They've nearly managed to eco this one, and they've done some serious damage regardless of what happens here. Release has just dropped himself away to Pop Dog, so I think good move there. Fry going to be thinking about the window. He goes up to check. Clear run. And he's not got a kit in hand, so I don't know if he's got one nearby that he can find. These things don't flash up easily on the radar. And he's now spamming in the direction of Release, who's been taken down to 49 points of health, but Fry realises he's got no chance to get away from that. And all in all, you've got to say great eco to FM for managing to bring this thing home in the way that they have. You know, good choice as well, dropping off the rifle to Som. Pretty much, was it Stanley, wasn't it, that had it to begin with? Chucked it off to Som and said, can you go mid and get a pick with this one, please? Exactly what he does, and you know, we're able to do some serious damage. You can see though, full buy coming up again for Orgless, couple of them down to less than $1,000 in their pockets, but full utility. So I guess you can think about if FM didn't have that round, how rich would Orgless be looking right now, and they'd be looking to push through and get a few more rounds, maybe even narrowly win out the half. But you know, as it is now, finely balanced, FM forcing it up, try and do what they can here in the 10th round of Train.
I think forcing it up is probably a decent choice of words there, in the sense they really don't have a huge amount to work with. As you can see, one kit, quite limited utility, and if something comes in fast, they're going to be in a bad position, but potentially not, as Nilzinho manages to find himself 2 frags early, and Som's going to be chipping in as well, so the utility not necessarily even coming into it, just frags upon frags for these guys at the moment. We do see a little bit of a response here, but it's still going to be favourable numbers for FM as they decide to push in. Mighty Max holding the angle, seeing what he can do. He's going to be picking up Som as well, but he is now the last player left alive. 2 to find, and it's a tough spot, completely flashed out, hoping he can spot somebody, and I think just catching sight of the edge of HUDG there as he climbed up on the train, but unable to do anything about it with the vision he had. Very unfortunate indeed. And it's going to be another round for FM, or for FM. As you said, had we seen Orgless pick up the round before that in a little bit more of a convincing manner, there's a chance they'd have money into this one. As it stands, they're going to be working with a limited buy. Not too heavy on the utility, not too heavy on the guns either, as it is going to be PT with a Tech 9. And another round that, despite having potential to win, is not looking favourable for them, as FM sit on 7 at the cusp of taking this half.
Yeah, they sure do. They've got some action here straight away upside as HUDG with a chance to trade off, and he does get 2. So very successful trade all in all. FM have the advantage, and straight away again, it's a couple of very early picks early on in the round going in favour of FM on their CT side, and it brings it straight back. I mean, if nothing else, if you want to try and hit one of these sites, you can pretty much rule out A, that's a numbers game. If nothing else, you just got to spread out, get as many angles as you can. That's nigh on impossible. Same thing again for B. You've just got to kind of pour down the ramp and up top and hope you can get enough down there to get the plant and hold it off. So it's a tough one because it's always bad to end up dropping players on CT side, and you're always up against it. But you would think the train is maybe one where it's one of the more costly to lose a player on T side, if you know what I'm trying to get at with that.
I do not.
Ah, okay. Well, looks like we've got a little bit of time. Actually, Mighty Max, nice pick on HUDG. But yeah, I just think that you need those numbers to try and get you into the site and to cover all the angles if you want to try and go into B for the numbers, just to get down there, just to give you the opportunity to enter into it. And then, as you see over into A, it's so open that it's so easy just to isolate players into these sort of kill sheets as such, as Stom is able to pick up a couple of frags and brings it home. So FM take an 8-3 lead, and they're running away with this, and trying to think this is quite a worrying prospect.
I'd say it's more than worrying at the moment. FM looking dominant. They find themselves that 8th round and look to set themselves up into the 9th. Also, just going to be full Glocks from Orgless. We were talking about the full save, or the full eco rather, not really coming into effect as much anymore. This round looking like it might be one of the few. Actually, we do see a P250 brought up, so they don't want to give us that privilege just yet. But even with that, there's not a huge amount for them to work with. So potentially just going to be one where they're looking to see if they can get that bomb down, but more likely than not, going to be a little bit of a shutout right now, though. I think just hoping somebody is going to make a mistake, because they are just waiting it out, seeing what they can find, seeing if anybody's going to be kind to them, gift them that frag, and I don't think it's going to be coming. So hopefully soon we can see them decide to make some sort of push happen. And I don't know. If they go B, could they get that bomb down? Quite possibly, but if they wait any longer, it's not going to be great for them. Fry, already coming in from behind with the MP9 in hand, looking to rack up that cash and potentially putting himself in the perfect position to do so. So right now, it's going to be all about timings, and he is going to be spotting out a huge number of them. The trigger control perfect on him. Doesn't decide to go for anything until he knows he has it, and then he's going to be bouncing, slides down the ladder, finds himself 3. Som and HUDG finding the other 2 in that round, and just the amount of patience, the amount of control it takes to not take the initial shot and wait until you know you've got them lined up is a little bit beautiful, and that was about as perfect, I think, as a play could have been in that situation. Just wonderful to watch.
It is, but you do have to ask the question, why did they not have a player watching from behind? Surely the guy last down the ladder is going to be watching that, and if there's someone facing you when you're in the position that Stanley was in, MP9, not ideal. If you try and spray that thing from any kind of distance, you're not going to be on point, and I think just one player coming in from behind, it probably still would have been a round going for FM, but it could have been a much less comfortable round than it ended up to be, but ended up being a pretty sad situation. As Som, I like this position that he plays. He tends to do this quite a lot from what we've seen on trainers. He gets in close, up there, sort of round about the point when the T is going to be wanting to enter the site, and causes real problems. And even if you expect that he's going to be there and you look in that direction, well, 1, he's got like a 50-50 chance to make a frag, and 2, if you've got other players around there, then they are going to be watching that angle as well, and they can pick you off. So you can't dwell on it too much. You've got to watch the whole map. And that's quite difficult as Stanley and Ilzinho pick up a frag apiece and making, again, very light work of Orgless, who weren't able to get a plant in and still don't have the cash to be throwing a buy together as well. So 10-3 it is in favour of FM. Probably going to go 11-3, and Orgless is going to be trying to cobble together whatever they can for the final round. But, you know, FM at this rate, get through these next two, they're pretty much a pistol round away from winning this thing.
Yeah, and they might have more of a chance than initially thought, as Orgless decided to buy basically everything they could into this round. They're going to be coming into it with the smokes onto A again, hoping to do something to find themselves that plant, or at least find themselves a fair few frags, and they're going to be encountered by closer players. Hudge ready to do something about it. Can't quite find the frag, going to be taken out quickly. Storm dropping as well. So a great chance here for them to make something of this round. We do see Ryan and Ilzinho trying to get a response out, but they're going to be encountered by more frags from the Orgless side. Just damage upon damage being done right now until it's just Fry and Ilzinho left. An M4 on an AWP, seeing what they can do on the retake, and they're going to be faced with fairly weak players in terms of guns, but they've got that armor. They've got a tiny amount of utility, and there's a good chance they're going to be making this work. Rattlesnake in with another, finds himself that frag there before being taken out, but he's done the damage he needed to do. He's left it in a 2v1, and unfortunately that position just unwinnable for Ilzinho. Very unfortunate indeed, at least if you're on FM's side. From the side of Orgless, it's exactly what they needed. It's going to give them the economy into this last round. It's going to ensure that they can get an extremely strong buyout and make it a little bit competitive. So we could see a 10-5 here, and at that point, again, it leaves open the possibility, I think, of them coming back into it in the next.
Yeah, it sure does. 10-5, you know, not too bad all in all. And PT, that helps getting some straight away. He likes to play a little bit aggressive up in the A area, and he gets caught for it in the end. You know, decent trade, though, in favour of Orgless. They'll like that. And with some, and just softens up the A defence a little bit. Might need one of these guys. Let's see. So Ilzinho, he's playing aggressive up on the walkway in B. So that's a nice little spot, and he can potentially get one frag as long as these guys don't hunt in the pack, and they are. But Release is taken down by Ilzinho, who got a couple of shots off, but just wasn't on point. Maybe if he was, it was a different story. But Hudge G, he picks up a frag on Pulse as well, so it's 4v2. Looks like it could be 11-4 if things go to plan. So one pistol for FM on the T side, and we could well be seeing a fairly quick finish to this map. But we shall see. Mighty Max, he's been kept fairly quiet so far, to be honest. You know, one of those players that can get aggro and create something out of nothing for you. Hasn't quite happened so far, and it is 11-4, the final score of this first half on Train. So got Dusty coming up after this, but still plenty of action left to go. And Pulse maybe needs to start picking things up a bit. 4-12, his score for the CT of Orgless. Now let's see what they can do.
Well, I mean, it's all going to be starting with this, isn't it? The pistol round going to be crucial in this one, as if they don't pick it up, we're going to be seeing FM, or at least potentially seeing FM finding themselves on 14 rounds right off the bat. If they pick it up, they take it to 7, they take it a little bit closer and give themselves a chance back into this. So they're just going to have to hope that this CT side pistol works out for them. At the moment, though, playing things extremely passive towards the back of every single site, and I think just hoping to take advantage of the range the USPS gives you. Obviously, the Glock's going to be a lot less powerful in that situation, and potentially going to be creating a couple of problems. The issue is if they execute onto the B site, if they use their smokes here, they're going to be fine either way. Instead of the smokes, it's the flashes, but it still buys them the opportunity that they need, managing to get out onto the site, or managing to get a couple of players out onto the site before they decide to take it the other direction. Apparently B isn't the site they want to be on, and A is exactly where they want to be going, so they're going to be doing that instead. And I think the confusion they created within the CTs right there might have been enough to do it. As it stands, we are going to be seeing Pulse manage to pick up 2 frags to start things off. Stanley T and Ilzinho respond. And just like that, a 3 versus 3 situation. Ilzinho, though, 4 HP left on him. Not going to be having an easy time of it. And the bomb's stuck all the way out, firmly in the CT's control. What could have been a great round, looking a little bit shaky for FM right now.
Yeah, no kidding. Thrown away an opportunity here. I think should have just gone and committed into the B, because they got in there with, what was it, 2 players they had going in there? May as well just sent all 5. And it would have been just clean up, pretty much. Deal with the rotate in, but now 20 seconds left to go. They are making their way towards it, so they're just edging up just a little bit, one at a time. You know, trying to get that bomb, and they will have it, and they can now cover each other to get the plant down, as Rattlesnake is going to try and make his way in from the connector, and they're nicely spread out, these Orgless players, but Nilzinho takes Rattlesnake, and now they've got to go. These remaining two, Fry grabs Mighty Max, leaving release, last man against three. What can he do? Well, Nilzinho is an easy find, 4 HP, but oh man, what a retake this has got to be, release. See what you got, bro. Steps out straight into the crossfire of 3 Ts, and from the jaws of defeat, FM clutch victory, and now they can push it through and try and get it to 14-4.
I'm just shocked by every moment of that round. As you said, had they pushed out onto B, that could have been a quick one. They had the position, they forced the 2 players watching them off and managed to gain themselves that sight. It looked like they'd thrown it away there for a second, but still, they managed to come back into it. They managed to put up a great performance and start things off on the right foot for this half, and it is going to leave them in a great place. As you said, potentially pushing their way through to 14 rounds right now, and they have everything they need to do it. 4 rifles brought up. Nilzinho going to be on the Mac 10, so I'm hoping he's going to be the first man in, and even with that, he should have a fairly easy time of it. Anybody he finds at close range going to be almost a guaranteed frag, as they have, what, 2 P250s and no armor between them. Awful way to start off their CT side, awful way to play this round, essentially, and not a position that I think anybody wants to be in, but it is a necessity, and they're just going to be hoping they find a little bit of damage. Initially, though, Som takes the first frag, starts things off nicely, and going to be leading his team in the way they want this one to continue. Again, what looked like it was going to be FM committing into the B site turns into an A push as they take their attention over there once more. They don't seem to like that B site right now. They seem a little bit edgy around it, but you can't blame them. What they're doing works, and they're looking like they're going to be picking up another round. Release going to be the last man left alive, P250 in hand, but no real chance to pick up the round. In fact, not even finding the frag there in the end.
Oh, wow, this is a phenomenal performance from FM. I'm surprised they didn't again commit onto that B, because they'd opened it up, and Nilzinho, if he'd maybe dropped down and started to get aggro with that Mac 10, could have sprayed down. Who was it in there? Can't remember offhand, but he could have easily gone and pushed through and challenged. But instead they go back towards the A, do a better job of it than they did last time, and I think they can keep that in reserve. Just to try and bring this thing home and mix up the directions. They know that they can get into that B site, so maybe that's going to be their plan. Orgless on the force. They're going for jumps, trying to force someone to B, can do some damage. And Nilzinho, though, he's pushing through with a Mac 10, and he picks up Pulse. Good to see that. Not enough teams do something crazy like push through a smoke, Golden rule, don't push through smoke. Well, the players that do, with something like a Mac 10 or a Mac 7 or a P90 or something like that, are the players that can, 1, catch you off guard, and 2, end up tilting you after a while. I mean, how many times you have to get killed by a Swag 7 before you start getting angry? I would say probably 2 or 3. Mixing things up a little bit, Nilzinho. Getting the opening pick, bringing it in favour of terrorists. Hate to lose a man on CT. We've talked about it enough times, especially on train, where you need to have full lockdown of that A, or it can be a pretty painful thing for you. 40 seconds left to go, and now we are going to see that action again. It's going to be A as the point of attack, and Hunty gets himself up on top of the train to see what he can do. Rattlesnake gets a frag on Nilzinho. That was over towards the B, though, and that was just an attempt to slow things up a little bit. Mighty Max, his position will be known, and Hunty needs to make the drop, and they need to be pretty quick on this. But Hunty and Stanley cleaned up with a frag apiece as the plant goes in. 2 versus 3. FM have the numbers advantage.
And Orgless just going to be hoping they can find something in this round, I think. I mean, they managed to force up into it. A little bit of a questionable choice in and of itself, and if they don't manage to come out of this one on top, it's essentially a wasted round and a lot of wasted economy. Fortunately, they are going to be trying for a Rattlesnake in with 2 immediately, puts the numbers in their favor, just like that, and leaves Hudgy in a position that is extremely unfavorable indeed. He goes for 1, manages to find it, and forces Release into a position it doesn't seem he can win from. Does find the frag in the end, but it's... I don't know, it looks like it's too late. This is...
Just got it. Only just.
What is that? That was... Okay, so... Again, another round that from the clutches of defeat, we managed to see one of the teams find their way out of. Orgless put a 5th on the board, shut FM down early, and do exactly what they needed to. I mean, I was a little bit surprised to see the force into the last round. I get catching the other team by surprise, but the way the meta's going at the moment, the fact that teams tend to buy up rifles on the second and third round, to me, just means if you're going into it with FAMASs, you're putting yourself at an unnecessary disadvantage. Although, that's why they're playing and I'm casting. They know how they make things work, and they did make it work indeed. So a little bit of a chance here for them. They're going to be seeing what they can do into this to try and put themselves on 6th, and they're going to be starting it off well as well. The bomb dropped down there as Fry goes down. So I'm going to be refragging, but still a lot of information gained for the CTs here. They should know that it's going to be A site. They should know where they need to be to defend this one, and potentially going to be able to get things started. Pulse, though, over the smoke, getting tagged down just a little bit before he manages to get himself out of position. And so it is going to be a little bit of a stalemate presenting itself here. 4 versus 4. Both teams just teetering on the edge of making something happen and hoping that one of them is going to be gifted a pick soon enough to decide their fate for them. Right now, though, just a little bit of waiting. Finally, we see some action coming in. Mighty Max straight onto Som. Neilzinho immediately with a response. We're just seeing this again and again, trade upon trade, until Stanley T manages to make it favorable for FM. And now 3 versus 2. You got to think they can close this one out and take it to 14, although at the same time, you got to think we've seen Orgless come back from worse situations, and they might just release onto Neilzinho. Manages to take him down, leaves Huds G and Stanley T to make something happen, and they're going to be continuing this push onto the A site. Orgless have had the time to set themselves up here. They've had the time to figure out where they're going to be playing from. I'd be surprised if we didn't see them make something of it, but Rattlesnake, again, he spots the player out, but just can't find the frag in time, and as the bomb goes down, Release going to be being tagged as well. Another close round, another tense round, but FM do manage to close it out finally. 14-5 in this one now, and Orgless economy is broken. Match point looking imminent. Just, this map has been a little bit of a wild ride.
Yeah, it sure has, and something, I don't know if Imi spotted it as the Orgless coach, but if he ends up watching this one back and didn't pick up on it, you can't let Huds G just stand on top of that train, and he's walking in there, standing up there, and then he's got no challenge on him. So from that point, yeah, okay, he's not picking up stack loads of frags, but he's in that position where he can call up information to his team. He can pick out. We saw he was sort of getting some action in on the pick into connector. He can call that push into connector. So if he's got a player around the site, they've got the heads up. They've got the advantage just to get the fire in there. And from up there on top of the train as well, you can peek down towards side information, chance to do damage, chance to pick up frags. You can't let someone have such an integral position. The reason that it's a difficult thing to try and take on T-side is because with the massive trains in there and the amount of angles that are blocked off, you need to move around, and you're kind of moving yourself into kill shoots and fragging lanes. But if you let someone stand on top and have free reign and no pressure whatsoever, then it just neutralises that. They've got pretty much full sight of the map and all the information that comes with it. And we're probably going to see FM get themselves the draw guaranteed here. Release with the Deagle. We saw him go crisp with the Deagle in his hand way back in the days of Source, but it's not Source anymore. We're some years away from that, and it's now going to be a more difficult ask for him as Fry picks it up. So FM, 15-5 it is, and looking to bring this thing home on train.
I mean, looking to bring it home, looking like they will bring it home. Orgless going to be forced back down to nothing at all. You can see a UMP and a Mag 7 coming out as the only guns that aren't pistols on the side. And the Mag 7, Pulse had to sacrifice armor to get that, so I'm not sure what you call that. It's not quite a glass cannon, but it's definitely something a little bit special. Going to be a tough round indeed. And FM, I'm expecting to see them just clean this one up now. I mean, if they don't, then there's going to be some mistakes, and I think Orgless are going to be praying for mistakes. They need something to go their way right from the start here, and now maybe this is where we see what you were talking about a little bit earlier. An actual push towards the B site, but again, they hate it. They don't seem to want to go there, and they're going to be heading out onto A instead, finding some success in the damage, but that going both ways at the moment. Just going to be relying on their positions and their weapon advantage to find themselves these frags in the end. They're going to be using the utility as well. PT burnt alive. Neilzinho finding Pulse whilst that happens. A 5 versus 3 situation and a bomb plant going down. Orgless, they need to go for this retake, but it's just not looking promising right now.
No, it's not, but Rattlesnake up towards the side. He's taken one. He's got Som right next to him as well. Similar kind of situation. He's only got the Mac 10. So Som, oh, he picks up the Deagle frag anyway. Who cares? As Fry gets released as well. So GG's are exchanged. Mighty Max against 3 players. Got to try and get the defuse as well. Pretty much game over. Mighty Max is caught, and it is 16-5. I was not expecting that, but FM have taken out the current leaders of this group stage, Orgless, in very quick succession, and we are now moving on to Dust 2. So